4,200 PSF in the CCR is coming, and here's what you need to know and your potential last entry point before the 52% rebound of the core central region. I'm Sarah X Miracle, content creator, realtor, and mother of 4, and I help families make family-centric real estate decisions, especially when it comes to buying new launches for the sake of the capital building exercise for you to be able to really sink into that next dream home that you are looking for that perhaps right now you do not have the capital in this present time. So if you want a free property consultation from me to go through with you your current goals, needs, your financial situation, all of this I can do with you, just scan this code and I'll be super happy to have a chat with you. All right, now let's get into the video. River Modern is going to be the last river-facing plot of land that you can buy into. And that is very similar to the scarcity effect that we found at Sky at Holland, where that is really the last plot that has that direct access to the commercial and integrated and MRT, all of that. Now, River Modern is going to be the last river-facing plot because the next reserve site, Parcel C, which is behind it, is going to be facing the Parcel B and Parcel A, of which River Green was the launch that already happened in 2025. And now we're talking about River Modern being a really excellent play for your potential either investment portfolio, own stay in the future, or if you want a capital building exercise. Before we dive into all the details, let me just give you upfront the 3 key reasons that you just need to take away if you don't have time to watch all the videos, why River Modern is going to be that last chance for you to enter before the rebound. Now, the first thing that I kind of hinted on is the Scarcity Premium for your exit strategy. So we're going to be exploring the Rivergate versus Martin Place case study, where one is river-facing, one is not, and how that over time, Rivergate has outperformed by almost double Martin Place compared to when Martin Place was launched and the current exit resale prices. The second key factor we're going to be telling you about is how the old price tag for land price has been locked in already for this particular project, and how because of the future transformation that has already been announced in the 2025 draft master plan that is going to see a lot more CCR GLS plots rise up and an increase in commercialization and commercial nodes of white sites within the CCR is going to lead to land prices of about 4,000 to 4,002 PSF in the future, assuring us of a very safe entry right now at roughly 3,200 PSF, which is our estimated launch price. And the third one is talking about the macro safety of the timing of which our entry is, which is going to align with the Thomson-East Coast Line being operational. Now, it is already mostly functional, but because Thompson-East Coast Line is the only new line that is cutting through this entire orchard belt and connects very strategically the north to the east as well, we want to know that we are entering a transformation macro safety project, and that is the reason why this last river-facing project is going to be a very interesting one for you to consider. So just some big overviews about the project itself. River Modern is 70% river-facing because of the plot of land being elongated along the river. Let's just look at the site itself. So this particular site facing the river in front over here, this is going to be the last long plot that you see facing that river with river views. Now, right opposite is Rivergate, okay, which we're going to talk about in a short while. But you can see that there is Parcel C that is actually behind our current parcel, and that will not have river views. It will be basically facing the back side of us. So 70% of the units are going to be facing the river, which is fantastic. Now, what else about this project is interesting is that similar to the Penrith, there's only going to be 2, 3, and 4 bedrooms. So that means you're not going to have your PSF being kind of diluted by very poor performing 1 bedrooms or high quantum 5 bedrooms that are a little bit more difficult to enter and exit. As mentioned, this is the final opportunity to get a river facing project, and most of the development is going to be north-south facing. Now, there are quite a lot of units that are in the Parcel C and even Parcel A, which was River Green, that do have exposure to west sun, but in our case, north-south facing for almost all of the units assures us a very good resale exit. And finally, you need to know that there's going to be very strong price support in other new launches, including our Turf City GLS, our Holland GLS, of which they had very similar land prices to us, but are definitely going to be less ideal locations, leading to our current pricing being extremely safe. Let's look into the first reason of the scarcity premium right now for you to understand why a river-facing unit is going to command a much better resale exit for you. So talking now about the scarcity effect of river-facing plots, I just want to show you one case example, which is Rivergate versus Martin Place. Now, Rivergate was completed in 2009, Martin Place 2011, but look at the launch price. Martin Place launched 15% higher than Rivergate at the time of the Rivergate resale pricing, but currently Rivergate is commanding a 10% premium higher than Martin Place. And what does this mean? That means that if you bought Martin Place compared to buying Rivergate at the time that Martin Place was launched, you are looking at only a 51% profit for Martin Place versus a 93% profit on Rivergate. And I personally sold a river-facing unit last year, and I can assure you that these prices and the demand is actually there for Rivergate, even in the large apartments. Yes, I sold a $5.8 million 4-bedroom at Rivergate, and it was to a Singaporean, not to a foreigner, not to a PR, because these people have high ABSDs. So there is a premium and a demand for river-facing units, and I have seen it already with my own experience. So if you want to look at the scarcity effect of river-facing, because people want to buy CCR, don't just want to buy an ordinary development. Many of the developments in the CCR are road-facing. So Rivergate is one of those rare ones that does not have a direct road-facing and has a river-facing. It's very similar to the attributes that we have for River Modern, with not only the river-facing, but also a north-south orientation for 70% of the units. Now let's go on to the next point, which is buying in at the old price tag. We also need to take into account what is the overall market cycle that we are looking at right now for the core central region vis-a-vis the RCR and the OCR. Now, if you look at this diagram, you can see that the historical price gap between the RCR and the CCR has always been at least 10 to 20%. However, with the CCR average only being at 2009 for the Sky and 3001 for River Modern, and RCR prices hitting already 2008 and 2009 in some places, we can see that this gap has narrowed to almost negligible percentage right now. If you look at therefore the master plan changes, you therefore will see that there is an opportunity for you to enter the CCR right now. By the way, the particular old price tag of land currently still applies to this plot, but will no longer apply in the future due to our draft master plan changes. So look at the changes that we've been already announced in Turf City. The first GLS tender has been awarded at more than 1,400 PSF PPR, and this is going to be in line with the cross island line that's going to eventually come up, that will be launched or rather ready for operations in 2031. The second one is the white site in Patterson that's going to directly benefit us at River Modern, because there used to be just a residential with commercial first story that was zoned in that site. However, it's been changed to a white site, and guess what is the favorite use of white sites in Singapore? Yes, you've got that right. It's integrated developments. Now, integrated means what? It means we're talking about the MRT access, because this is the actual Orchard MRT. We're talking about malls. We're talking about service apartments. We're talking about own stay residences. So there will be some element as well of your condominiums being sold as well. So these are likely going to be the white site uses for this Patterson site that is going to really increase that commercial activity and the land price. Because how much do you think? Do you think this will go cheap? This white site is going to be the heart and the center of Orchard. It's not going to go cheap. And we are just one MRT stop next to it, because we're at Great World City down the Thomson-East Coast Line. And then another rejuvenation in the CCR will be in the Newton area, where ACS Junior will now become residential, and the car park is going to be the white site. Again, there's going to be 6 more plots of residential. And so CCR 99-year leasehold is going to become the norm. So if you don't know, the Newton site has already been sold at 1,820 PSF PPR. So the estimated launch price is going to be anywhere from 3,400 to 4,000 PSF when it launches, based on the land price, which obviously had a lot of interest because Newton is a very, very strategic land site, and that's going to be happening in 2027 for launch. You also have the Holland Link site that is going to be 1.1 kilometer from King Albert Park. The estimated launch price is going to be 3,001 to 3,003 based on the land price. And we of course have Parcel C that's just behind us that likely is going to be launched higher than us, given the fact that River Green had a very successful launch, and River Modern, by the grace of God, is likely going to also have a very successful launch. And just to share with you in terms of safe pricing entry, you have already the new launch for Upper House going at an average of 3,300 PSF at Orchard Boulevard. So that's just connected to Orchard Boulevard. And it has a little bit of a mixed use at the bottom. You also have Zion Grand that also has mixed use project, averaging 3,000, and that is in the RCR, that's District 3. So even though it is nearby to us, it is technically in the Havelock area connected to Havelock MRT, not Great Wall City, and that's RCR. And then you have Revere, talking about the resale, non-harmonized project in District 3, already selling for 2,900 PSF, and that's non-harmonized. So if you add harmonization, this project for resale purposes is likely actually going to be more like a 3,100 PSF project. And by the way, in CCR, condos within 200 meters to MRT, like walking distance, right? There are only 7 developments like that in the CCR. All of them, by the way, are selling at a resale price of 3,159 PSF. We're talking about 4th Avenue, Van Holland, Pullman, River Green, House on Handy, Midtown Modern, W Residences. We're talking about these prices are going already at the resale level. Therefore, if we're talking about entry pricing, our potential launch of about 3,200 PSF, with especially because the Newton site has already a projected launch of 4,000 PSF, shows you that we do have a very, very safe entry price based on the old price tag of land. So if our Newton site launches at the average of roughly in between 3,004 and 4,000, let's say conservative 3,004 to 3,006, the launch price of Parcel C at the back is likely going to be higher than that Newton launch because it's going to be after the Newton launch, so potentially even 3,006, 3,008. Now in 2030, when you think about the Newton launch people, so maybe the Newton launch will happen, sometime towards the end of next year, they will want to be exiting at least 4,002 PSF for 20% profit in 2030. So for us to exit at the same time in 2030 at 3,600 PSF, do you feel that's realistic? I feel that it's totally achievable. And that is why River Modern is an opportunity in terms of entry price based on future land sale price and existing resale. Pricing wise, it absolutely is something to be considered. And the last key point is really about entering at the right time where there are a lot of macro shifts in our current Singapore planning and the time especially of MRT lines being ready for use. So the key thing is that in this time, the Thomson-East Coast Line is the only new line that has been added to Orchard in decades, and other than North-South Line, no other MRT line cuts across Orchard. It's been fully operational since last year. And so this year, 2025, you might be watching this video in 2026, actually marks the start of the CCR true transformation. And so we are actually positioning ourselves at just only a very slight positioning over RCR and OCR prices, which I have discussed already in point 2. And so because previously there were a lot of efforts to decentralize, to make all these neighborhood nodes, the focus now, you can see the draft master plan has a lot more emphasis right now into the center and the core of Singapore again. And with the Thompson East Coast Line cutting through the CCR now for the first time, and the East Coast side also going to be developed and operational, this is going to add a lot more demand for units that are along this Thompson East Coast Line, and especially River Modern being one of them. So are you convinced whether or not this is something worth your time and worth looking into? There are lots of other factors to take into consideration when buying a new launch or a building under construction, including your financing, including your down payment, and your mortgage affordability, the cost of rental, etc. I can't do that all in one video because you have a very personalized and individual point of view. I'd be happy to get on a Zoom call with you. We can explore your property portfolio in detail and look at how we can optimize it for your purpose, for your family, for your season. Once again, I'm Sarah X Miracle, and I make videos like this every single week to help you and your family make family-centric decisions, to help you with your real estate goals, to serve the purpose of your family. As a mom of 4, I really empathize. So give me a call, scan this link, this QR code if you want to have a chat with me. See you next week at the next video.